At Team I, we try and understand how successful sports teams have achieved their success and translate into business. Today, I'm talking to my Team I colleagues, Kai Horstmann and Carl Rimmer, and we're going to be talking about mindset, particularly about the mindset that they had as elite sports people that made them successful, and then how that's translated into their commercial careers. So, Kai, when you played elite rugby, how important was your mindset in ensuring that you were successful and helping you achieve what you achieved?
I think it was huge, really. Huge in how I personally delivered on a weekend, but collectively, no question to whether we fulfilled what we'd been talking about all week. I think a huge amount of time and energy kind of went into structuring a week so that the build-up was such that your mindset would start in a certain place at the start of the week, from a position of flushing out the previous weekend to that going forward, that get those sort of building blocks in place, that your mindset is getting more and more ramped up so that you can get yourself in a position to play a game of Premiership rugby, which ultimately involves huge emotion, huge physicality. And unless your mindset's at a level where you're prepared to do that, you're 100% not going to be anywhere near your best. So it played a massive part. You know, a lot is talked about, and I certainly played with players who were able to flick the switch a lot quicker. And there's variables in which players could do that. But I was certainly one that I had to get the processes in place in order to be able to take on a physical challenge like that at the weekend.
Carl, your role as a prop in the front row of a scrum, mindset to me there must have really played a big part in terms of you specifically having to be able to focus on your task in hand and really believe that you could achieve what you needed to achieve. How would you say mindset manifests itself in importance in your career?
Yeah, again, similar to Horseman, really. I don't know if it says a lot about the talent we had, but I don't know if either of us were those sort of people that could just flick the switch and rely on raw talent. But yeah, I needed those processes to be in place as well. And the front row was an interesting one, really. You know, people didn't come into the scrum foaming at the mouth and shouting at each other and things like that. But it is a very physical contest, or was. And it is very one-on-one, even though it's a group activity. It's all, I've got to get the best of this guy. And again, I relayed a lot of it back to the training. You know, like we trained every Tuesday. And if I'd had a positive session, my mindset was very strong going into the weekend. What we're sort of speaking about now, mindset has such a big part on sport, but they're very lucky to be able to do what they love, and therefore they're very positive about it. And yeah, even if you're having a tough week, you're still doing something you enjoy, so you're able to go through those movements of the week and be quite happy about them. What I find now is it's a lot more difficult to be really positive about every single aspect of my day, because some of it isn't enjoyable, some of it is hard yards, some of it's quite monotonous, and so there's a real challenge now to keep that mindset positive and that mindset happy and go through those processes, but see them as that and enjoy them, rather than just, you know, get through Monday and then it'll be Tuesday and then, I've got something to look forward to on Wednesday, because that can be how the week looks when you look at it. But like you say, when you're doing sport, I do believe it is a little bit easier, because the game is the end point. That's the big part. But there are so many little wins throughout the week that you can really enjoy as well. So it's hard to translate. But you do, having that mindset in both, it makes a big difference.
No, very interesting. Kai, people talk about having your game head on, which I guess from a cliche perspective, people are talking about when you go across that white line on a Saturday. But from what I understand about the Exeter Chiefs, and building on what Carl's just said there, I guess you had to have your game head on every single day in training, and the mindset had to be right across the week. And it wasn't a question of just getting your mindset right for the big game on a Saturday. It was getting your mindset right every day.
It's probably a testament to the environment, really, and how much the players valued making sure their standards were right for each other, but also how you were monitored as an individual. From a coaching point of view, there's no question that they would have picked up on any lack of effort, any sort of complacency. But I think, importantly, it was player-led standard bar where things had to be of a certain standard, otherwise just kind of not good enough. And the successful teams I've played in are player-driven like that. And if you get that right, you know, and maintain that, then you can start being successful at the weekend. And the whole game head on a match day happens long before you cross the whitewash on game day. It really does. It's testament to how you prepare during the week.
And so now taking that forward into the business world, Carl, you've alluded to that a moment ago, but some of those things that both you and Kai have said there, how would you say a business can capitalize on some of those key things to make sure that everybody in their business has their game head on and really has the right mindset?
Horstman's sort of teed me up perfectly for that, because so often I imagine companies or organizations or even sports teams that are failing get it into their head that they need to drive that mindset. They need to drive that motivation. They have to be behind, they have to be shouting, chapping, clearing, getting you on. And quite often it is a case of just of giving the people inside of it exactly what they need to do what they need to do, and creating a really positive environment for them to be in. And what you will tend to find, I am speaking from in my infancy in the outside world, but in the rugby world, what you found is that, it very quickly becomes player-led because it's such a positive environment. It's such a nice place to be where there's constant success. Look at Exeter over the last few years. It's just been success after success. And they don't want to lose that. They don't want to let go of it. And they're well managed and well looked after, that they know that if their standards drop, that it will go away. So I think it has been, I think so. Sometimes it's just about creating a brilliant environment that success can thrive.
Great points there, chaps. Thanks very much. I think the key message from today's chat is that get the mindset to come from the team and you'll be successful. Thanks, Kai. Thanks, Carl. Look forward to chatting with you again.